How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to My Gardening Habit. I'm Rob Mayer, and today I'm going to give you a little update of what's going on in our greenhouse. It's January 12th, 2020, and here in New Jersey it's 66 degrees outside. It's 82 degrees in the greenhouse with the doors open, or with the door open. Yeah, it's a little unseasonably warm here. I'm not complaining. I'm outside getting some stuff done around here, and I figured I'd make a quick video to give you an update on what we have going on here. As you can see behind me, I still have a little jungle growing. It's not doing as well as it has. I've had one of my larger tomato vines die off. Some of it was due to a damaged vine, but I think that I also had a blight problem starting up. The temperature in here has been, or the water temperature in here is about 80 degrees, and the air temperature has been about 50 to 60 degrees during the day, when we've had about 28 to 35 degrees outside. There's been a lot of evaporation from the water, and a lot of that moisture is condensing on the sides of the greenhouse. You'd also come in here and it would be ridiculously humid, just basically the water steaming off. So I've done a few things to try to combat the blight on my tomato vines. Number one, I upped the speed of my box fan that I have constantly running in here to try to get a little bit more air circulation. But with all the moisture in the air, having that extra circulation isn't going to help that much, I don't think. So another thing that I did was I had sprayed with this supposedly organic Serenade Garden Disease Control. It's got Bacillus subtilis, a strain of bacteria that's supposed to be pretty good at fighting fungal infections. So far it seems to have done the trick, but again, I don't know if it's just that. I don't know if it's just the fan. I also went out and I purchased I also purchased off of Amazon a dehumidifier. I'll show you that in a minute, that I rigged up to pull moisture out of the air and dump it right back down into the fish tank. I'm not recapturing all the evaporated air for sure, or all the evaporated water for sure. A lot of it is still just condensing on the side of the greenhouse and then dropping down into, basically raining down every once in a while onto the floor, which is just the ground going back into the earth. So I have noticed a decrease in the humidity. So the tomato plants are looking much healthier than they were about 3 weeks ago when I first really noticed the problem. Again, I don't know if it's one thing or just a combination of all the things that I did, but it seems to be going well. I definitely think that I lost some of that one tomato vine due to the blight ahead of doing those things, but again, there's also some damage to the vine. I'm going to take you off here and move you around so we can go through a couple things that we have going on. So as you can see on this tomato vine here, you can see it's dying. I'm not sure, maybe this has something to do with some root rot. I'm going to open this up later and inspect to see if maybe my air stone is not working anymore. I see some, looks like the roots are getting a little bit brown in there, some of them, and that could just be particulates in the water, maybe a little extra fish waste getting through the filtration process that's kind of building up in there. But my Swiss chard that I had growing here, this one plant was looking beautiful 2 weeks ago, and I've been harvesting little bits of it and throwing it in my salads. But in the last couple of days it started really kind of crapping out. Maybe it's been growing too long. I've never grown Swiss chard before, so I'm really not sure what it does, if you can just take bits off of it, or if you should just harvest the whole thing and start again. But yeah, so I'm gonna take a look and see what's going on in here today. Maybe there is something wrong with the air stone. Maybe I'm not getting enough oxygen to the roots. But nevertheless, the tomato plant that's coming out of here, while it was doing great, has died. You can see the whole thing here. I gotta go around and trim it out. I had already trimmed out a good portion of what seemed to be blight in here, and the remaining tomato plants, you can see, still have beautiful healthy flowers on them. The leaves are looking pretty healthy still. There's tons of flowers on here. Just come in, give them a little shake, try to get them going. Maybe get some tomatoes out of them. It'd be nice. It's the middle of January. I'm not really sure how many New Jersey gardeners have can say that they have cherry tomatoes coming still. So so like I said, I had gotten this small dehumidifier. I believe they say that it's rated for 200 square feet, which is a very small area. It doesn't seem to be pulling a ton of water. You can see the reservoir is full just because it gets to a certain point, and then the drain here will push some out, and when it gets up there, it just drains back down into the fish tank. I think it's making a noticeable difference, so I am happy with it. I don't know if it's economical for what I paid for it, how much it's actually pulling out, and I haven't really measured how much it's pulling out. So I will do that and maybe post it later. Over in the fish tank, you can see the water is pretty cloudy right now. So much so that you can only see the fish if they are at the top of the water. There are still 20 tilapia in there. They're just hiding right now at the bottom. I don't think that they're too keen on seeing me lately. About 2 weeks ago, I tried to net one so that I could weigh it and see kind of where we're at as far as growth, which it sounds like we're at about 10.5 ounces on what seemed to be about a mid-sized fish in here. I was a little worried that when I started swinging the net around in there that I was going to traumatize them, and I'm pretty sure I did, because now anytime I come over to the tank, they just disappear. Before, they'd come right up. Even when I throw some extra food in the tank, they're a little hesitant to come up. There they are. There's a couple of them. But in the past, if I had done that, you would see them all going crazy to get that food. Maybe they're a little overfed. I don't know. Maybe they're just not hungry. But I'm pretty sure it's more that I just upset them and they don't really like me anymore. A little traumatized that I'm going to come in there with the net. So I guess when it comes time to actually harvest them, I guess the plan would be to drain the tank down as much as I can to kind of limit the space that they have to swim around, and I can net them a little bit easier. So yeah, I know in my last video I had mentioned that the fish will top out at about 1 to 1.5 pounds, somewhere around the 7 month mark. Later on, I went back and read something else that looks more like it's around the 9-month mark, that they're going to kind of plateau on growth. So we still got about 2 months to go until that happens. We'll see how much they pack on in that time. The reason for the clouding in the water, I believe, the major reason, once I put the automatic fish feeder in here, you can see the auger here that turns to push feed into the tank. When that's turning, it's grinding some bits of food up, and it grinds it up into a little dust that ends up falling out the bottom into the tank. This water was pretty clear until I started with the automatic feeder. So I'm not really sure what I can do about that other than going back to just hand feeding, or maybe trying to modify this so it doesn't grind so much. It's going to take a little while to work through that, I think, but I would like to try to do something, possibly even turning the water over a little bit more in here. And one problem I have with turning the water over more is that the solid waste filter down the line just can't handle more flow out of here. So right now, basically just by gravity, after the tank is filled up from the bilge tank, and the water gets to the level to get into this pipe, this is the solids lifting tube. It's going to go into the pipe and flow out naturally into the solid waste filter, and from there again it's just going to fill up and then go out into the next tank. There's no pumps on this portion of it, so it kind of just has to do it all on its own. And you want that to happen because you want the solid waste to settle out in this tank at the bottom so that it's easier to clean up and remove from the system. The problem I'm having is when I have too much flow coming through the fish tank and into here. This barrel, it's only a 15-gallon barrel, and it just can't handle it. It's a 2-inch inlet, 2-inch outlet. I also had been having an issue with my bell siphon in this grow bed here. I started to make this very video a couple weeks back, and in the middle of it I decided to stop and start messing around with the bell siphon, and I was having all sorts of trouble with it. And I think what it boils down to is that I didn't have enough flow to keep it going. Now with the flow issue that I'm having, the pump that I have is technically rated for 1,100 gallons per hour. I don't necessarily know if it's keeping up with that. I've made a few adjustments. I cleaned the filter on the pump, and I tried to increase the flow as much as I could by cranking the dial out. It seems to have helped. Seems to have a decent amount of flow in all the grow beds. In the meantime, I had already gone ahead and ordered a bigger pump, but I have not put it in yet. So I'm holding off. I may swap that pump out and use the old pump as a in an extra filtration system for the water in the fish tank. The problem I'm having, really, I think, with the solids in the fish tank is that the solid waste filter that I have here, as you can see, there's still a lot of fish waste floating in here. I need to modify this, I think, into a radial flow filter. The way that it's set up now, if I was to increase the flow more, I'm going to have even more waste flowing through and into my biomedia filter. I've tried a few things, like putting on a way to block the fish waste from getting out of here. I actually made up this little exit tube and wrapped it in pantyhose, which seemed to work great for catching the excess solid waste. The only problem is that even with all this extra all these extra slots in here to allow water to pass through, the flow is still not enough to actually keep up with what I need to turn over in the fish tank. So the barrel filled up and was just spilling over the sides. So again, got to come up with something else for that. I do have a secondary solid waste filter that I have to mess with today. I ran out of polyester batting, pillow batting for it. So again, another problem to overcome. I know on the bigger systems I've seen guys with, they have a nice radial flow filter, and it seems like they don't have a problem at all with the flow. I think I do need to set up some sort of other solid waste filter. I might do something that just pumps up out of the fish tank and then circulates through maybe a large container of, say, polyester pillow batting, or maybe some sunscreen, some sunshade. I saw Rob Bob from Bits Out Back. He makes a nice little solid waste filter that just uses a shade, a bunch of shade cloth. So we'll see. There's going to be a couple things I'm going to try, and of course I'll make an update video with that. Maybe I'll try to get some footage while I'm making these things. Other than that, things are going kind of well in here. Our pepper plants seem to be doing okay by the looks of the leaves and the stems, but we had a ton of flowers in here, and I've had very few peppers coming off of here. I've read that pepper plants, like tomato plants, have male and female parts in the flowers and can be pollinated by just kind of bopping them around a little bit. I don't know how true that is, because this plant here had probably about 20, maybe more flowers on it at one point, and we've got this one little baby pepper at the moment. So I've got the fan blown right on it. I've come in here multiple times, bopping the flowers around, and it doesn't seem to be having the best effect. There's another little pepper forming up here, so maybe it's working, maybe just not as effectively as I would like. It also could be something with the other conditions, possibly the water, the roots, or even just the conditions in the greenhouse. It may be looking to have a higher temp normally. Maybe it's been just a little bit too chilly in here. I'm not sure. So we'll keep you up to date on that. I've tried to direct seed some lettuce in here. You can see a couple of them coming up. I was having some trouble germinating seeds in rock wool, which seems to be a pretty common grow media to use for a system like this, and I decided to just throw a bunch of seeds in here. Initially a bunch of them popped up and then died off, and I got just a couple little guys still sitting in here. We'll see how they do. I have some tomato plants in the back there. You can see little baby ones that are popping up that just came from tomatoes that dropped in there, and the seeds ended up growing into new plants. I have some ginger root that I planted. I got from the local produce shop, and it was starting to sprout in the closet, and I was able to pop some in here and see what it does. I know I've seen a lot of other people having great success with ginger root, so I'm excited to see what happens. Over in our first bed here, we have some parsley and some beet, some cilantro in the back, some dragon's tongue beans that are doing quite well, and we'd also planted some ginger in here, and that seems to be doing great. We got a nice little sprout coming up here. I'm excited to see how things come along with that. We got another little sprout over here. This pepper plant here is not doing good. I've had another pepper plant that kind of started dying off like this. I'm not really sure what it is. If I look around the base, it looks a little soft around the base here, but the roots aren't looking terrible. I don't want to disturb them too much, but I'm kind of concerned about this plant. It's not looking too good at all. I'm probably just going to pull it and get it out of here. In fact, I might as well just do that now. Maybe take a look at the fruits. It still seems to be in there. All right. Oh no. I see a little slug. I wonder. Little baby slug. That's no bueno. Let's see what we can do about that. But, yeah, the roots don't look terrible on this, so I'm not really sure. What's going on with it. Again, this whole aquaponics thing is a new thing for me. I'm just kind of going through it, learning as I go. Definitely have made some mistakes so far, but we'll get there. We're also propagating some spider plants. I don't know if anybody saw on our Instagram the crazy root ball that was on the bottom of this guy here. I think he needs a little bit of water, but the roots on this were just crazy. We had left them in the cup a little bit too long. They're smaller pot after rooting them, and just take a look for yourself, see how crazy it is. So we finally moved them out. They're doing really well now that they're in larger pots, and we've already gotten some more babies off of them, and we've just been sprouting them, and we're just going to try to get some bigger plants growing and maybe give them to friends and family. So they're all off of a spider plant that I got for my wife, I think for maybe Mother's Day about 5 years ago. So, yep. I've also taken advantage of the beautiful weather today to fill up our top-off tank. This is another 275-gallon IBC tote that I have set up. It's got a regular ball valve on it. It's got into a 1-inch irrigation pipe that goes underground and pops up into the tank, into our bilge tank, with a little float valve. This thing has been a lifesaver. Before I installed it, I was filling up roughly 1 to 2 5-gallon buckets a day, having to condition the water, let it sit, come out, fill it up, fill up another bucket, condition the water, let it sit, dump it again. That was getting to be a bit much. Coming into the winter, I was not really looking forward to that. So it was actually right before vacation that I got this all worked out, because we were going away for 10 days and I did not want to have somebody else have to come over and do something like that. So I had set up the automatic top-off tank and also the automatic fish feeder, and they've been working out great. So there was one day in late December where the feed pipe from the tank to the bilge tank had actually frozen over, and I was unable to top off the bilge. But I put a heater on the pipe, warmed it up, and eventually got it going. So I'm going to try to insulate that. I do have a heat trace on it, and I'm not really sure if it's going to keep it from freezing again. But if I get a day here and there that I actually have to do something with it over the winter, not a big deal. It's definitely, you know, the time and money that I've put into setting that up has definitely, it's paid for itself. So I'm very happy with it. I would recommend anybody that's setting up an aquaponics system to have some sort of top-off system like that. I just want to say thanks again for stopping by. I really appreciate all the support that I've been getting from friends and family and others in putting this little project together. I'm going to keep going with this. I'm going to keep making videos and you know, let you see how the garden progresses. Again, this is just a tiny greenhouse. I've learned a lot in the short amount of time that I've been working in this greenhouse to say that we're going to move into a bigger greenhouse hopefully in the spring. We're going to build one in the backyard, and also we're going to expand our soil garden. So we got a lot of good stuff coming up. If you're interested in getting into aquaponics or gardening, one big suggestion I would say is start joining some community groups, some Facebook groups maybe. The Facebook Aquaponics group is a great place to go. There's a ton of people on there from all over the world that are posting videos and pictures of their setups, and a lot of the people are there to just be helpful and answer any questions that people may have. So it's been a great resource. I don't post anything on there myself really. I've just been doing a lot of you know, hanging back and reading other people's posts and kind of getting an idea of what I need to do from there. But it's been a great resource. So thanks to all you guys out there in the Facebook Aquaponics group. You've been a big help, and yeah. So I'd like to wish you all well in your own gardening endeavors, and I'd like to ask you to like and subscribe, maybe share a video, or share our Facebook page. You can check out our website at MyGardeningHabit.com. It is up now. There's not a ton of content on there yet, but it's coming along, and we got a lot of good stuff coming up. I'm very excited for the spring. So take care, everybody.